All right. Okay, perfect. Welcome everyone to this session. I'm very excited to be able to share with you the information in this session, in this presentation. And first of all, a special thanks to Rami and Iman for organizing this session. I know it must have been like a nightmare organizing over 100 presentations and speakers from across the world. So I think it's been just an amazing session that we can see multiple sessions conducted by different presenters, all of them showing their different experiences about blockchain and how it can add value to our working lives. So in this presentation, I'll be talking about open banking API and blockchain, and specifically the relationship between them and how you can start adding value to elevate your career with open banking APIs or open APIs and blockchain. So let's go ahead and continue. Okay, so the agenda for the day for this session, I'll talk about the opportunities and challenges in open APIs. Then I'll talk about the UAE open framework or open banking framework and regulation behind it. And then I'll be talking about in number 3, open APIs and blockchain, the relationship between open APIs and blockchain, and specifically what are the advantages of using open APIs and blockchain for you as an enterprise or for you as a fintech startup, right? And then section 4, we'll talk about open API examples, which can help you, the advantages of leveraging open API examples in terms of fintech and in terms of startup for them to be able to leverage for your organization. So this is an interesting statistic that was published by Allied Market Research. Open banking market size is to reach 43 billion globally by 2026. This just shows you the size and the magnitude of this industry. The benefits are improved customer engagement, adoption of new applications, innovative products and services for your end customers. So you can just imagine how huge this industry is. Some of the top players in the open banking APIs or open API space Plaid is based out of the US. They're currently valued at around $13 billion company. They recently launched or were able to fund around $425 million. True Layer, which is based out of London, UK, currently valued at around $1 billion. And also you've got Tink. Tink are based from Sweden and they're supported by PayPal. They're also valued at around $800 million. So the opportunities are huge for open API, and this is just a simple truth for it. My background, I've been in IT my whole life since university. I started off as a developer in JavaScript and HTML, and then I got into IT project management. Basically, my experience, I was a project manager for Zain Bahrain, and then I moved to Saudi Arabia and Riyadh, and I joined BMC Software as a senior project manager, where I was covering Middle East and Africa region. In 2018, I started getting to the blockchain space. So I was really intrigued by what blockchain offers as a technology. I started doing a lot of blockchain sessions and workshops. And my main purpose was to help people learn how to leverage blockchain for their organization to improve their products and services specifically, right? How to improve your value proposition using blockchain as a technology to either increase market share, to reduce costs, to improve your bottom line for any company, for any organization. So I was able, luckily, I was able to do a lot of sessions across Kuwait, Dubai, and Bahrain. And in 2019, I became a trainer for blockchain based in Bahrain. Currently, I'm head of IT in a semi-government entity in Bahrain, which I manage all the AWS projects infrastructure for the government sector in Bahrain. And also now I'm a part-time trainer at BIBF. And I specialize in, which is Bahrain Institute for Banking and Finance, and I specialize in courses for open banking APIs and blockchain courses. So let's go ahead and jump into the session presentation. But before we do, I want to get sort of a roundtable introduction from the people in the room. If you guys can just type in the chat, your company, where you work, what company, what your position is, and what your company you're at, just so I can get a feel, and then I can make sure the content is tailored to satisfy your industry. So you can just type in your position and where you work, or what company you're in, or even what industry you're in, and I'll make sure I put the content tailored to your industry so you can get the maximum value in this presentation session. Just go ahead and do that whenever you have the chance. Just go ahead and type it in the chat, and I'll follow up as we go along. All right. All right, 3 reasons why you cannot let 2021 pass without leveraging innovative technology, right? I'll talk about three different reasons why. And the first one is the answer to this question. What does digital transformation and disruption and digitalization have in common, right? There's one common factor between all these different aspects of digital transformation disruption. What is the simple answer? And here it is. This is published by Harvard Business Review in 2017, and the numbers are shocking. More than half of Fortune 500 companies simply vanished, no longer exist due to digital transformation. And the reasons for this is the different technologies which are actually impacting this: AI, RPA, which is robotic process automation, IoT, automation tools, blockchain, and now open API. All of these have a direct impact because startups are leveraging the latest technology and are able to move very fast, which enables them to capture stronger market share from existing traditional companies, which is now getting very, very threatening for traditional companies. The second reason, the COVID-19 impact on multiple industries. The 80-20 rule, basically 80% of your sales is coming from your top 20% of your customers, right? So what happens if one of your customers shift and goes to your competition? It's going to have a direct impact on your revenue, right? So how to prevent your top 20% from your customers from leaving you, from churning, right? One option is by using and leveraging innovative technologies for your end customers by providing the latest and innovative quality of service technologies, whether it's open API or blockchain, and providing them the most competitive price point. Because the second a new startup that comes and competes in the same product line that you are in, and the customers find out that they have a lower price point, they're going to jump straight to your competition, right? There's no questions asked, but the COVID-19 just proved that point to us. So you have to make sure you're leveraging and providing the latest innovative technologies for your customers, and you can do that, right? There are many options to do that. The third reason, existing versus acquiring, it costs you 4 times less to maintain existing customers than to acquire new customers. And this is very evident in telecom sector. And if you guys in the UAE, you're living in the UAE, if you were using Etisalat, for example, mobile services for the last couple of years, 3 years, and you just had enough of their services, the minute you go to do, there's no way in hell you're going back to Salat, right? There's not a chance that you'll go back to it because you just had enough of them. The same thing applies to Bahrain and Saudi market. And if it was vice versa, if you're using Du for the past 2-3 years and you've had enough of them, you just shifted to Salat, there's no way you're going back to Du, right? It's going to cost Du 4 times more to advertise and promote services to win you back. So the same thing applies for customers in the enterprise sector and corporate sector. So if you lose your customer, it's going to cost you 4 times more money to invest and promote and advertise to win them back. So you want to make sure you provide the latest innovative technologies for your end customers and to make sure they're actually receiving the highest quality of services for their for what they're using with your service offerings. This is published by Accenture in 2019. And another interesting stat, what's vital for banks is to understand that this API economy brings the opportunity to capture significant new revenue streams. Banks can charge directly for services offered through open banking, or they can leverage APIs to cross-sell, upsell, or cut costs. Example, Emirates MBD started with an open API journey by creating APIs for over 1 million customer accounts in a sandbox model. That allowed them to fast-track their services to launch WhatsApp banking, and now they're leveraging AWS services to launch their services and their financing and banking services on AWS infrastructure, right? It allowed them, those are some of the benefits. We'll talk more about those benefits in the coming slides. And a fourth reason why you should consider, right? If you guys think about this, I have many friends who went through this. One of my friends, they're going for an MBA, and they talk to their employer, to their boss, and they told them, look, I'm going for an MBA, I'm going to graduate next year, I'd like to have a raise or promotion, right? And what's the typical response that we get today? The typical response is there's no budget, we're not sure, we're not doing any promotions this year, and so on, right? So it's the landscape, the businesscape, the COVID-19 impact has a lot of changed the game completely. So, but what if I give you another idea or another option? What if you go and approach your employers today and tell them, look, you have a solution, you have an idea for a solution that can lower their cost for one of their products by 30%, by 40%, by using a specific technology, right? what is the typical response that you would get today from your boss, from your management? Let's talk about it. Let's see. Can you show it to me? Let's meet tomorrow and discuss it. Let's do a demonstration, right? Is it secure? Things like that. And you can actually, you don't need to have 10 years experience to leverage specific technology, right? You don't need to. You can definitely learn the foundations of a technology, whether it's blockchain, AI, or even open API, and you understand the advantages, and you can leverage that for that specific problem that you're solving for the company. Because right now, today, the question that's going on in the minds of top executives and CEOs, how can we leverage the right technology for that specific use case, for that specific problem, in order to improve our bottom line, in order to improve our revenues, in order to improve our market share? That's the question that's going on in many of the companies' executive today across all industries. And digital transformation, disruption is all proof of that. So why you should care about Open Banking API? Because of the opportunities it presents. Okay, let's talk about those opportunities. Here are some of the major opportunities about Open Banking API. First of all, revenue. When you launch your Open API, you can actually charge per API calls. If you're a bank, you have 100,000 customer accounts, and you can provide that as an API call, as a data call. For a fintech, you can actually charge per API call, or you can charge a subscription fee for a bulk number of API calls per month. That's a direct positive impact on your bottom line to improve your balance sheet. Next one, digital agility. You'll be able, once you launch your Open API, you'll be able to provide, you'll be able to reduce time to market for new products and services, and you'll be able to make much faster decision-making process to improve your value proposition for your end customers. Another opportunity is premium APIs. Premium APIs talks about if you're a bank or a company or even a manufacturing sector, you have lots of data, and you have, let's say for a bank, you have a private banking division with the high net worth individuals. You can charge higher rates for your premium API calls for a startup that specializes in, for example, wealth management or robo-advising service such as Shakralla in the UAE, for example. Right, you can charge much higher fees for that because these are high net worth individual accounts. This again has a direct impact on your bottom line and a positive impact on your revenue. And of course, it allows you to launch new products and services with crypto-based or tokenization or blockchain-based services or decentralized applications for your end customers in a much faster time frame when you have your Open APIs ready. Right, and so the opportunities translate into benefits, and the benefits have a direct impact in terms of higher revenue, faster rollouts in products and services, access to regional market share, UAE, for example, less customer churn rate, which means the impact is you have less customers leaving you to your competition. You'll be able to get much larger market share, customer acquisition. You have a higher branding value when you leverage Open APIs, and you'll have access to regional international market. This is a very critical point because now regulation in Bahrain now allows for Open APIs and forces the banks to open their APIs. Regulation in the UAE is also now forcing banks to launch their Open APIs. That's a regulation requirement by the central bank. By end of this year, Saudi Arabia is going to launch their regulation for Open APIs, which means banks in the UAE will be able to market and provide their services for customers in Saudi Arabia by using only API calls. This is a huge opportunity to leverage and launch new customer acquisitions for an international market, such a large market for Saudi Arabia, right? So the opportunities to grow are huge when you consider Open API, and the cost of reaching that market is basically data. You're doing it over internet traffic. So it costs you almost nothing to reach that target market using Open API. And that's one of the reasons why the sector and the industry is growing very, very fast. Now let's talk about some challenges. How can you be able to actually go through some challenges of Open API? First of all, we have the cost structure. The cost of API development can be significant. You need to have experienced technical team to develop your Open API strategy. You need to have security layers deployed on your API, because remember, you're deploying this for the public. You're deploying API for public to use. So you have to have very high security levels, security layers implemented on your API system. And of course, it's an ongoing process. Once you go live, you still have to improve it. You have to maintain the transaction, the response time of the transaction. You want to ensure customer service quality for those transactions. When people are using your APIs, you're providing the highest level of service for them. right? So this is all critical. Now, how do you solve these challenges, right? What are the solution options? Now, most companies are going for an open API provider, such as Tink, such as TrueLayer that we talked about earlier, and such as also Plaid, and there are many other players as well. For example, Emirates MBD leverage one of the vendors of Open API as well. So the advantage of using an API service provider or an Open API vendor is that they have the full system in place, designed with the highest level of security implemented on the system, and they have the regulation license requirement to be able to meet the requirement of the system. So you minimize your cost structure. Instead of building it in-house, you can leverage it from an existing API provider and launch your solution there, your APIs there. They have the experience, they have the technical know-how, they have the skill sets, they implement the secure layers, and they always maintain that secure layers because they have to maintain their license, the regulation license. For example, Tarabut Gateway based in Bahrain have a regulation license from the central bank. Many of the open API providers in the UAE also must have a license to be able to launch their products and services from those banks. The same thing. So this is the majority of companies are actually leveraging that, because very basically you can actually launch your API within 3 months, within 6 months, within even 2 months, if you categorize specific data points that you want to launch with a specific API provider, such as Tink or such as Plaid or any of the players. Now let's talk about the Open API banking framework. So the regulation from the UAE Central Bank is that basically banks in the UAE must be able to, must launch Open API in order to provide the customer for an infinite level of services and product offering in terms of financial services, right? The customer should not be locked to the specific bank that he or she is currently banking with. If you have a car loan with, let's say, one of the banks in the UAE, with ABC Bank, for example, you should not be locked into that bank. You should be able to get a different loan if you want to, that a different bank is offering for a much better low price point with lower interest, and you should not be locked with that specific bank. That is your own freedom of choice. The customer should have the freedom of choice to choose whatever service they desire based on the different product offering from different banks. And that's the whole point and purpose of the open banking framework, which is all based on the PSD2, which is the Payment Service Directive, issued in Europe about 6 years ago. And even the regulation in Bahrain also follows the same PSD2 directive, which basically focuses on 2 main services: account aggregation services and payment initiation services of these banks. So Open API is usually a solution to a problem, right? This is the main point here. Mainly, it is a solution to a problem. The biggest thing here is that, again, choosing the right technology for that specific use case, for the specific problem, is the key ingredient for success, right? It's great that we're all seeing and going through all these blockchain sessions, but we have to go to the fundamental question. How do you know? How do you decide that for this specific use case, for this project, you need to have blockchain technology for this use case or for this problem, to solve this problem, right? How do you make that decision? Maybe that problem does not need blockchain. Maybe the problem needs blockchain and AI together. Maybe the blockchain needs only Open API. So how do you make that decision? Because the key ingredient is that choosing the right technology for that specific use case will get you on the right path to success and to improve your bottom line, right? Because what we don't want to do is choosing the wrong technology, launching the project, going 3 months into the project, and then we realize it's not the right technology, and then we lose resources, time, and effort. So we have to make sure. So how do you do that? How do you decide for the specific problem? And here's the option how to do that. We create what is called the problem canvas. The problem canvas is basically a sheet that has multiple columns. The first column is the problem. You define your current problem in the organization. Basically, you put 4 lines. What is the current problem your organization is facing today? What is the impact the problem has on the organization? Are you losing market share? Are you losing customers? Are you suffering from high cost of a specific product or a service? What is the impact, and quantify it, right? Then you go to the next one. What is the value gained from solving the problem? So what will I gain if I solve this problem, right? Are you going to reduce cost? And if so, by how much? Are you going to reduce churn rate? Are you going to reduce time to market? Are you going to reduce OPEX rate? If you solve this problem, you go for that specific problem. And then the last column is the solution. what is the optimum solution to solve that specific problem, right? You don't talk about the technology at this point. You don't talk about the how. You just look, the most optimum solution to solve this problem is the following. You just put 3-4 lines. Let's take an example of how this works. Now, here's an example of problem canvas. The problem here is the credit cards are taking 7 days to be issued, right? Too much time to issue credit cards in comparison to the market. The impact, customers going to competitors for credit cards. I'm suffering from high churn rates. I'm losing market share. What's the value gained from solving this problem? Less customer churn rates, higher market share by acquiring new customers. So what are the possible solutions for this problem, right? Issue credit cards in two days, for example. Allow customers to issue virtual credit cards on the banking application for customers, where they can log in and immediately create a new virtual credit card for them to be able to use and leverage for e-commerce transaction, right? Remember, the bigger the impact, the higher the reward for solving it. You put this as one problem, then you put the next problem, then third. The easiest way to start, you put a list of all the problems, say 5, 6, 7 different problems, and then you start going to the impact of this problem, and you fill out the columns for each problem separately. And then you prioritize the biggest problem. The bigger the impact of the problem is, the higher the reward that you'll gain for solving that specific problem. And that's why you want to be able to prioritize. Let's say you have a list of 10 problems, you narrow down to 2 or 3 problems, and you talk to your management, talk to your director, talk to your manager, to your coworkers, to your heads of departments, get their feedback and see and agree with them. Yes, is this a big problem? Does it have a very high impact? They'll give you some additional feedback, add it to the table, right? And then you'll get a sheet like this. So you set the problem, 2 or 3 lines, that's one problem. You set the impact, you get the value gained, and you get the possible solutions for this problem, right? I put a link in the description here that you guys can download this Excel sheet, the template. You guys can download it basically, and then you can start working on it right then. And there's also another option for Google Sheets if you want, because currently we're doing this, me and my partner, we're doing this now for companies, and we're doing it for free until 30th of June. We help them launch the problem canvas. We help them identify which problems have the biggest impact, and then we go to the next part in the analysis. I'll just copy, I'll copy that to the chat later. I'll copy the link to the chat later, just so I'm going to finish the presentation, and then I'll copy it to the chat. This is the same thing. If you guys want to scan the QR code, if you're watching this on your laptop, you can scan this with your mobile. It will take you directly to the canvas, the problem canvas, which you can download to your application. Okay, and then the next part is we go to the open analysis. Once you identify the problem canvas, you go to the open analysis document, which is the open analysis, the open API analysis document is basically 8 questions, which we go through for every single problem. You analyze the process. What processes in the problem involve copying and moving data from one system to another? What data entries processes are prone to human error? And you list that processes there. What data sets are used in this use case? What other departments are using this data? You list that there. What is the data set that have a data dictionary that have common naming conventions and rules for defining how to maintain time and date location of currency? You do this for every single problem. And the output of this document, the analysis document, will give you the decision, yes, I need to have open API for this specific problem, and will get you in the next part that you're making the right decision to go forward and to move on to the next phase for the project, right? So the output of this document feeds into your business requirements document, right? So you take the open API analysis document, the output of it, after you answer all the questions, and you feed that into your business requirement document, which will go into your RFP for your vendor, and then you can start your project right then, and to make sure you're going on the right path and you have all the right details for your open API project to solve that specific problem. So this is a simple API workflow. You have the bank, you have the API provider, you have the FinTech app, and then you have the customers here connecting to the FinTech app. So this is an example of let's say a loan aggregator service. They have the FinTech loan, let's say it's called My Loans. You open the app as a customer, you're looking at what different loan options are available. The loan aggregator service here will show you all the loans coming from all the different banks in the UAE, for example, the 20, 25 or 30 different banks with all the different loan offerings and the price point and the interest. That way, you as a customer, you'll be able to make the best possible choice given the situation and given what loan you're looking for, whether it's a car loan, whether it's a home loan, whether it's a personal loan, and what amount of loan and monthly payments you're willing to commit to. This will give you the option. The API provider is actually connecting to the different core banking system and pulling the information from the actual core banking system for each of the banks, giving the fintech and the customer the most up-to-date, the latest updated information about the latest loan offering for all the specific banks. They're solving the problem of wasting time for customers going to different banks looking for different loans, right? Now let's talk about open APIs and blockchain. What are the advantages?
Fawaz, we have like 2 minutes, 3 minutes maximum.
Okay, all right, no problem. So Emirates MBD, Emirates MBD, in their actual use case here with the Open API, the bank recorded 30% increase in customer transaction after launching their 450 API points. Right, this is a huge advantage when they launched the increase in their actual customer transaction, and then it enabled them to use WhatsApp banking and AWS services, right? Standard Chartered also launched their API services as well, which you can actually go and launch and test your API with actual customer data, all right? So the two main services that we talked about is Open API, account aggregation and payment initiation. This is based on the regulation, and this will allow you to fast track and move to API, to cloud services. Once you launch your Open APIs, you'll be able to fast track to cloud service, whether it's AWS or Azure, and then you'll be able to launch new innovative products and services by leveraging AWS or Azure or any other cloud provider, because your Open API is already on the cloud. So again, faster time to market, monetizing API calls, and onboarding of new customers in a much faster time frame. So once you're able to launch on Azure or AWS, we all know that AWS announced they will launch 2 new regions, data center regions in the UAE by next year. And this will allow all the companies to be able to leverage their APIs on AWS or any other service provider for you to be able to leverage and import your APIs to different companies, right? So basic examples of open APIs, I'll just skip this. I mentioned, for example, My Loans is one. VAT Collection is another one, a startup that allows connects to merchants and initiates the VAT payment directly from the merchants account to the regulation authority or the VAT authority account on a weekly basis. Again, relieving the headache of maintaining VAT revenues for that specific merchant, right? So again, different chatbot use cases. They are very, very, very effective, and disposable credit card, which we talked about the credit card problem. So again, we talked about choosing the right technology for that specific use case is a problem, is a key ingredient. Now you have options, consultants, you have vendors, you have yourself. You can go with a consultant, which will cost you more. You can go with vendors, which maybe will cost you a bit more. You have to go for a POC, but you can do it yourself by starting with the problem canvas and going through the top problems which have the highest impact on your organization, which will allow you to start looking and seeing what problem I can start today to solve for my organization, which will elevate your career for your organization. Now, how much more time do I have? Sorry.
I believe we already exceed like 5 minutes, but
okay. All right, I'll just skip then to the end. I don't know if there's any questions. I'll just check if there's. Let me see the chat if there's any questions. If there's any questions, okay, no questions.
Yeah, there is no chat questions, but anyone can raise hand or can speak directly.
Okay.
Or contact you through Wova as well.
Right, perfect. All right, great. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your attention to this presentation. And I wish you guys the best in your future careers and elevating your career with open APIs and with blockchain. Thank you very much.